Hi, welcome back to my channel, Beautiful Minutia. If you're new here, my name is Tiffany, and today I am doing the 25 questions book tag. I was tagged in this tag by both Berna from Berna's Bookish Adventures and Krista from Books and Jams. So thank you, both of you ladies, for tagging me. And yeah, let's go ahead and dive in. So question number one is, what's your channel about? Primarily books. That's pretty much what my entire channel is about, just talking about the books that I have read. But sometimes I do also occasionally have some homeschooling content on here because I'm a homeschool mom, and I feel like a lot of homeschooling stuff can kind of tie into bookish stuff as well. Question number two is, how old are you? I am 33, and I had to think about that. After a certain age, I just have to think about how old I am every year, but I'll be 34 in September. Question number three is, what's your relationship status? I am married, and actually on the day that this video comes out is our 14th wedding anniversary. So yes, I got married at 19, almost 20. Question number four is, where did you go to college and what's your occupation? Which is actually two questions. So for college, I actually went to community college for like a year, and then I got married and dropped out and basically worked so that way my husband could go to Bible college because my husband is a pastor. I didn't have any huge aspirations for my education at the time, so it really didn't feel like a big deal for me to not continue my education. I am not currently working. Like I mentioned, am a stay-at-home homeschool mom, so that takes up the majority of my time. But before I started staying home, I was in management at a bank. Question number five is, where are you from / where do you live? Which again is two different questions. I'm kind of from all over. I claim Massachusetts as home because it's kind of the longest I've ever lived in one place, but I was born in Maine and have lived multiple states in New England, multiple Midwestern states, and I am currently living in Kentucky. Question number six, looking back, what would you have told your 10-year-old self? This is a really deep question. I think if I could have convinced my younger self that it didn't matter what other people thought of me, that would have been great, but that's something that I still struggle with as a people pleaser, and I think that was a lesson that I had to learn on my own, and that advice wouldn't have really actually changed me, unfortunately. Question number seven is, tell us about your family. My immediate family currently, like I said, I am married and I have one daughter and she is almost 10. And then to kind of zoom out a little bit, I am the middle of three girls. And I don't really live all that close to most of my family. My younger sister lives about 2.5, 3 hours away from me, and she's my closest family, and everyone else lives a minimum of an 11-hour drive away. So we're all pretty far spread apart. So when we get to spend time together, it's very exciting, and we definitely soak in that time. My husband's family also all lives in New England, so pretty far from where we live in Kentucky. And sometimes that's really, really hard to live so far away from family. But I mean, the advantage is that we definitely treasure the time that we do have together because we know that it's so limited. Question number eight is, what's your favorite holiday? I've always said Christmas my whole life. I just really love Christmas. I love Christmas decorations, and I love Christmas music, and I love spending time with family and everything. But the past few years, probably more like the past 5 years or so, I've really loved Thanksgiving. I think that the thing that I love about Thanksgiving is it just feels more low-key in a way. I love more of the emphasis on time with family and gratitude than with Christmas. Sometimes some of the emphasis can be gifts, and I just like the emphasis of Thanksgiving a little bit better, I guess. And also, I like the food better for Thanksgiving than Christmas, because the main Christmas food for us is Christmas cookies and stuff. We don't really have a specific thing that we make for Christmas every year other than Christmas cookie recipes that I make every year. And I really love Thanksgiving food. Stuffing is my absolute favorite food. I could eat that all the time, but I only make it for Thanksgiving usually. And I love everything about Thanksgiving. Question number 9, you have no budget. What's your dream vacation? Well, I've always said that if there was like one country I could go visit, I would want to visit Italy. But if I have no budget, my dream vacation would actually be more like taking a tour of Europe. And it would be a lot longer than the time I would just spend in Italy. I've always wanted to go to Venice though. Going to Rome and seeing like Colosseum, going and seeing the Tower of Pisa and like all the great Italian food. So Italy is definitely like the place I would want to go the most. But if I have no budget, I would hit a whole bunch of European countries, including but not limited to France and the UK and Ireland and Switzerland and Austria and maybe even Norway. And that's, you know, I mean, if I have no budget, I'm going to take a tour of Europe, because if I have no budget, then I can probably take as much time as I need as well. So that would be amazing, and I would love to do that. Question number 10, name your biggest pet peeves. Number 1, biggest pet peeve, I don't even have to think about it. Listening to people chew. I hate it. I hate it. I just want to hurt people. It's fine if I have like background noise. So if we're at a dinner or something and people are chatting, it's fine. If there is like a movie on at the same time or some music or something, that's fine too. Then chewing usually doesn't bother me because there's other sounds to cover it up. Also, some foods are worse than others. The more chewy that the food is, the grosser the sounds to me. I don't mind crunchy stuff that much as long as people are chewing with their mouth closed, because then it just doesn't sound as bad to me. But yeah, people chewing makes me want to, like, my skin just crawls. I just hate it so much. Number 11 is what book changed your life? And the obvious answer here is the Bible, because it did. It totally gave me my foundation of faith, and it gives me hope from day to day and keeps me going in so many ways. But that feels like that is like a really kind of like probably very obvious answer. So I did want to give an answer that is different. It's not as important as the Bible, because I think that that is like the most important book in my life. And this is also spiritually related as well. But a spiritual book that greatly changed my life is If You Will Ask by Oswald Chambers. A lot of people may have heard of Oswald Chambers because of his devotional book, My Utmost for His Highest, which has a different devotional thought for every day of the year. But his book, If You Will Ask, is completely on prayer, and that book changed how I saw prayer completely. It's just a little tiny book, but so impactful. And if you're a Christian and you want to learn more about prayer, or even if you feel like you know a lot about prayer, If You Will Ask is an amazing book. Question number 12 is, what simple invention changed the world? This is a really random question. It's not even a personal question. The first thing that came to mind is a light bulb, but that is probably not considered a simple invention. So I don't know. Maybe an axe, like to cut down trees and stuff. I feel like that is a relatively simple invention that made it easier for people to be able to build homes and have fuel for fire and all that kind of stuff. Question number 13 is favorite movies and TV shows. I'm actually really not huge into TV or movies in general. I think I used to watch more, but I mostly just read as a hobby nowadays. But there are movies that I come back to over and over again. The whole Lord of the Rings trilogy is one. I also love Pride and Prejudice, and I love the 2004 version with Keira Knightley. I've actually never seen the 1995 version that everyone raves about and says is so much better than the Keira Knightley version. I've never seen it. The Pride and Prejudice that was in 2004 was my very first exposure to Jane Austen, period. I saw that movie in theaters with a friend, and then read Pride and Prejudice, and then read all her other books. And so that was my very first introduction into Jane Austen, so it definitely has a very special place in my heart. I also like a lot of like classic Disney movies as well, and some stupid humor movies. Like I love Napoleon Dynamite and Nacho Libre, and I know they're dumb, but I love them so much. When it comes to TV shows, lately, the TV shows that I've been watching more frequently are K-dramas. I'm really enjoying K-dramas. I've completed 2 and I'm in the process of watching 2 right now, so it's not like I'm super well versed in them or anything, but I am enjoying them. I also really loved the PBS version of All Creatures Great and Small. Oh my word, it's amazing. Our whole family has loved it. And lately our whole family has been slowly working our way through the Lark Rise to Candleford series, which is streaming on BritBox. I think it was probably originally on BBC or PBS, but I'm not sure. And we're really enjoying that series a lot. We've completed the first 2 seasons, and I think that there are 4. So we're like halfway through that show, and it'll be really sad when we run out of that because we're very attached to the characters. Number 14 is describe yourself using 3 fictional characters. I feel like this is kind of a tough question, but the very first character who popped into my head is Hermione Granger from the Harry Potter series. I am a lot like Hermione Granger. I'm very much a rule follower, which I know she breaks rules too, but she definitely cares about like following the rules to a point and being in good standing with figures of authority. And she is very academic and is obsessed with getting good grades. And that was me. Like, I would get as many questions correct as I could on things and as many of the extra credit questions as I could as well. And I actually graduated with a 4.0 GPA because I was like obsessed with having perfect grades. So I can really relate to Hermione a lot. I would also say Meg March from Little Women. I can't say I'm a Jo because I just don't have the personality of Jo at all. I wish I was a Beth. I really want to be more like Beth and be more selfless and sweet, but I'm probably Meg out of the 3 sisters. 4 sisters. I don't know why I said 3 sisters. Probably because I just named 3, because I'm not Amy either. I am probably most like Meg, so I definitely don't have main character energy. And also a lot of the lessons that Meg learns about vanity and selfishness and a lot of her growth in the early stages of her marriage is very relatable to me. And my third character that I'm gonna say is probably Belle from Beauty and the Beast. Part of that is related to my absolute obsession with books. I love like the scene in the movie where Belle is just walking around the town just reading a book, because I would do that all day, every day if I could. I just can't like block out all the background noise. My daughter can. She can read when there is a TV show on, when there's music on, when people are talking around her. And unfortunately, I can't. I get way too distracted. So, but I would if I could. And I am always reading, and I always have a book with me everywhere that I go. And I also relate to Belle in her loyalty to her father. I was always a daddy's girl growing up, but that loyalty to family is very important to me. Question number 15, what was your dream job? I don't know why they say was. It's an interesting choice of words. My dream job as a teenager was to be a nurse, but then I got diagnosed with some chronic illnesses at the age of 18. And so then I just didn't have like the physical stamina to be a nurse. My ultimate dream job was actually to be a homeschool mom. So killing it in that department. But apart from just being a mom and being with my kid, I think that I would love any sort of job that has to do with books. Like, I would love to work at a library at some point. So maybe when my daughter's grown and out of the house, that's probably something I would really love to do. Question number 16, if magic was real, what spell would you learn first? That's a really interesting question. I think I'd learn some sort of spell to clean up the house. I am currently reading The Once and Future King by T.H. White. So that makes me think of The Sword in the Stone and how Merlin like animated all the things, all the dishes to clean themselves and all of that kind of stuff. And I would love that. That would be amazing. Question number 17 is share a favorite childhood memory. That's another one that's hard to narrow down. But the first thing that came to mind is actually, I remember when I think I was 7. My dad is also a pastor, and he was pastoring a really small church, and they couldn't afford to pay us very much. And we were a family of 5. And so I remember my parents telling me that they weren't probably going to have enough money to buy very many Christmas presents, if any at all. And somehow word got out in the community. And at this point, My dad had done a lot of work in the community. We had like a food pantry out of our church and all kinds of stuff. And so my dad was known in the community. It was just a small little town. People decided that they were going to buy us Christmas gifts unbeknownst to my parents. So I remember very shortly before Christmas, it might have actually been Christmas Eve, there was a knock at our door and a whole bunch of people had bought us gifts. And I remember that there were gifts stacked in our living room that were taller than me. And that was actually a very formative memory for my life in terms of God providing and just trusting in the goodness of God when it looks like things are crazy or things are impossible. That was a very formative memory for me. And it's also gone on to help me help other people who aren't sure that their kids can have Christmases, because I remember what it felt like to have people that cared enough to do that kind of stuff for us. Question number 18 is, what is your favorite social media platform and why? Obviously, YouTube is a very big favorite of mine since I actually have a YouTube channel, but I think probably my favorite social media platform is Instagram. I really do like Instagram. Sometimes I hate Instagram too, because things can just be so heavy or so politicized all the time. It just feels like this constant bombardment, and I don't like that. But overall, I really like Instagram as like a way to keep in touch and communicate with people. And I also really enjoy Voxer. Voxer is pretty awesome. I love being able to send voice messages to people. Question number 19, if you could pick any book character, who would you spend the day with? And I feel like I would probably spend my day with Samwise Gamgee from Lord of the Rings, because if I could live in any fictional land, it would be the Shire. I just love the Shire, and I love Sam. I feel like spending the day with him would be like a very calming thing. I almost said Merry and Pippin because they might be more fun to spend the day with, but they seem much more high energy to me, and Sam is like more low-key, and I like being more low-key. So I feel like if I spent the day with Sam, we would eat some really good food, and we would probably putter around in the garden together, and probably like sit next to a fire and read together, because yeah, I know he loved reading all of Mr. Bilbo's stories. So I just feel like that would be just such a restful and enjoyable day for me. Question number 20 is, what's your spirit animal? And I've never really thought about this, honestly. I don't know what my spirit animal is. I can tell you what my favorite animal is, and that's a capybara. I'm really not sure. I don't know if there's any sort of animal that kind of like embodies my personality. I mean, if you know me and you want to chime in the comments, I would be curious to hear what you would say, because I'm really not sure. I do know my daughter's hamster, when we give him like vegetables or something, he just like brings it to his little mounds, his little nest that he has made, and he will like lay in there with his eyes half closed and eating, and that feels very relatable to me. But like, I can't, it's like the only thing I'm thinking of. I don't know. I really am not sure. Question number 21 is, what old person thing do you do? Well, I feel like as much as I read, in today's day and age, a lot of people would say that that's an old person thing. And obviously for those of you watching this video who are subscribed to my channel, you do not feel the same way. But there are a lot of people that I talk to who think it's really weird that I choose to spend my time reading when I could do so many other things. So I feel like a lot of people would think that it's weird that an ideal evening for me after my daughter goes to bed is to like make a cup of tea and curl up in bed with a book. Question number 22 is, do you have a hidden talent? I can wiggle my ears. Is that a hidden talent? Because I don't randomly tell people that, but I can. I don't know if you can see it very well, but that's about the only thing that I can think of. I always wished I could do the whistle, where you have like both fingers in your mouth and you can whistle, but alas, I have never acquired that skill. Question number 23 is, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I don't know. I would love to say that I'm right here in the same house, my husband pastoring the same church, because I love it here. But if there's one thing that I've learned over the years, it's that sometimes life is very unexpected and you end up places that you never thought that you would, because in the past 5 years, we've lived in 3 different places and several different states. So who knows what the next 5 years holds. I guess I'm open to whatever, but if I could choose, I would choose to be living a very similar life to what I'm living right now, because I'm really enjoying my life right now. Question number 24 is to share an item and tell us its significance. I had to get up and move my camera to grab these really quick, so the camera angle may look a little bit different coming back, so sorry. So I have a collection here of these John Steinbeck books, and these were my grandfather's, so they're very special to me. They, I think, are first editions, like they were published in like late 1920s, so they are very special to me and I love them. I actually love John Steinbeck's writing, but the fact that they were my grandparents makes them that much more special to me. The last question is simply to tag more people, and I'm pretty sure that this is an older tag because I've seen this floating around for a while. So if you have not done this tag, then please consider yourself tagged, because again, I'm really not sure who has done this before and who hasn't. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video, please hit like and also subscribe so you can continue to see more bookish content from me. Now I will see you again next time.